What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, and I have a very critical coronavirus video for you guys. This is a coronavirus prep. This is, I would say, very essential to have and something you should definitely consider buying, especially if you consider the cost to benefit ratio. And that's something that we as preppers need to always consider is cost to benefit ratio. All right. Businesses calculate cost to benefit ratios, and we should do the same thing. All right. You want to buy something that costs the least amount of money, but it gives you the greatest amount of benefit. Okay. So if you buy $1,000 purse, it's not giving you the cost to benefit ratio is not that great. Okay. Because a purse is a purse, whether it's $100 or $20 or $1,000, a purse is a purse, right? But something like this has a very high benefit at a very low cost, okay? And what is this? What are we looking at here, all right? These are flex cuffs, okay? A lot of you guys that are in law enforcement or former military or, special operations, you guys are definitely going to know what these are, but for my viewers that are not familiar, I want to just give them a quick crash course on what these are and what they're used for. All right, these are basically restraints, okay? You use these to restrain somebody. If you don't have handcuffs, if you're in a situation where you need to restrain somebody to gain control of an individual, that's what these are for, okay? And these are made by a company called Monadnock spare cuff restraints. Okay, you can get they're basically a giant zip tie is all they are. Okay, you can see how big they are compared to my hand. These are basically like giant oversized zip ties. All right, so you can see how big they are, and they're very high quality. They're very thick. All right, they have a very thick material. Sorry guys, I'm just doing this video on the fly, so I don't have my tripod. These are just giant flex cuffs, okay? Giant zip ties, all right? That's all they are, okay? You could theoretically buy zip ties at your home improvement store and use them, but these are preferred because these are higher strength, okay? They have a 22-inch length and half-inch wide, and they have special beveled edges to reduce injury. All right, that's important. So if you use these against somebody and you have to actually restrain them and put this around somebody's wrists or around their, ankles, you don't want to have a standard zip tie. They're a little bit sharp and they could cause injury, but these are rounded off on the edges. So this way somebody doesn't injure themselves. You don't injure somebody because definitely don't want to get prosecuted for that. But basically, so it's an ideal backup for steel handcuffs, easy to carry, beveled edges, and it has a space to write on. And that's the Monadnock spare cuff restraints. I bought these for like probably 20 or 30 bucks for this 10-pack. These are made by, I think this is Safariland. Safariland owns this company, all right? Yep, Safariland Group, see? Safariland, all right? So if you guys are familiar with Safariland, very good company. But comes with a little instruction kit on how to use it. If you need to restrain somebody, you pretty much cross their arms either in front of them or behind them, and you wrap the flex cuff over their wrist vertically like so, like in this picture here, okay? And you pull it until it's tight. You don't want to pull it too tight because you're going to restrict their circulation to their hands, and you definitely don't want to do that. You can also restrain somebody's ankles as well. If you're concerned about them running away, you can use both hands and feet, okay? So very simple, cheap product that works very effectively. You can also daisy chain them together. Here's another example. Here you have behind the back here, and then here you have them daisy chained together. So if you have someone who's larger, and let's say one strap over the ankles is not big enough, you can double them up like that and put them together. You can also daisy chain them together like this. If you're really dealing with someone that has large limbs, you can do that as well. All right, but these are very good for the price. Now, why would you need these? Okay, in coronavirus, because you may be in a situation where you have somebody breaking into your home, all right, an unwanted visitor, and you may have to detain that person. Okay, you may have to because it's not always a lethal force situation. All right, a lot of you guys out there think that if somebody breaks in, you're just going to blow them away, but in many states, you're not justified to use lethal force. If somebody breaks into your house, you have to be justified to use deadly force. All right, and in order to use deadly force, there has to be a credible threat to your life. All right, otherwise you're not allowed to use deadly force. Okay, but you can use this to restrain somebody. All right, if let's say somebody breaks into your house and you have to detain them so the police can take them away and prosecute them. If you need to bring somebody under control, let's say you have a family member or somebody that you're taking care of that you have to mandatorily quarantine, okay? And they may not want to stay under quarantine. They may start to get cabin fever and they may want to break out of their quarantine area, okay? Let's say you quarantined somebody, a family member, in a room and you're not allowing them to leave and you lock the door or something like that. They may try to escape, okay? So that's something to think about, okay? You may have a situation where somebody in your family or somebody in your survival group may lose it, okay? They may lose their mind, all right? It's gonna, any kind of difficult situation like a pandemic or any kind of disaster, it's gonna test people and it's gonna stress people to the limits, all right? And you may have people that lose it, okay? And for their safety and for everybody else's safety, you may have to restrain those people, okay? Let's say you have a family member that's making bad choices and he's doing things that are going to endanger your group, or he's, threatening to disclose information about your location to an enemy, okay? You may want to detain that person in your group and hold them so they can't escape and start blabbering their mouth to people, okay? I just wanted to mention that, and you can also use it to hold prisoners if you have to interrogate people. All right, let's say there's a rival group of marauders, and the marauders are going to try to attack you, okay? And one of them, let's say you detain one of them, all right? You may want to hold that person that you detained, and you may want to interrogate them. You may want to question them to get more information about their group, okay? So, you may want to take a prisoner in that situation so you can gather intel, all right? And, you may have to detain this person and keep them in your basement or something like that and use them to extract information about possible threats and activities of that person's group, okay? If there's like a group of marauders or a group of bandits, violent gangs, and you may be able to capture one of them, and then you can interrogate them and try to figure out if they're planning any other attacks, what they're going to be doing, okay? So that's going a little bit further down the rabbit hole though, but in most realistic use of this would be the most realistic use would be somebody breaks into your house and you need to detain that person and prevent them from getting away, or most importantly, prevent them from hurting you. Okay, especially if you don't have a firearm. You know, if you're just if you don't have any weapons and you live in a city environment where weapons are severely restricted, and you only have your bare hands, having something like this is very good because you know, you can bring someone under control. You know, if you have to physically subdue somebody, if you don't have a way of restraining them, you know, they can get up and continue to attack you or continue attacking your family. All right. So you want to have a way to bring somebody under control and neutralize them as a threat. Okay. And by cuffing them with these, they're not going to be a threat anymore. All right. And take it from me, being a bouncer for many, many years, working in nightclubs, there were many times where I threw somebody out of a club, and that person got up and started charging me, trying to fight me, you know. And there were many situations where I had to remove somebody, and this person was going crazy, and I had no way of restraining them. I had to sit on them and put my pressure on their back and wait for the police to show up. I wish I had cuffs in that situation, because I could have just put them in cuffs, and I wouldn't have had to worry as much. But you know, some people are really insane, you know, when they really have something in their mind and they want to commit some kind of a crime or something like that. You know, you need to have a way to restrain people, okay? Especially in some type of a violent person. You have to restrain that person so they don't hurt you or hurt your family, all right? And again, if you also, like I said, if there's somebody in your group and they lose it, they go insane, you may want to have a way of detaining them and restraining them so they don't, you know, hurt themselves or somehow compromise your group, all right? And like I said, also, you may want to take prisoners. There may be a situation where you want to gather information and you want to interrogate people to get more information. And again, that's against the law. If there's, you know, like right now, if you did that, you would be breaking the law. You're not allowed to take a prisoner like that. But if we're talking about, you know, a total grid down scenario and there's no law and order, and there, you know, you may have to gather intel on your local gang activity and different groups that are trying to go around and attack people. So in that situation, you know, you're going to want to capture one of them and you know, interrogate them and you know, try to extract information from them. Okay, so I hope this video helped you out. This is a huge self-defense item, all right? And you know, for $20, it's a huge deal. 500-pound breaking strength, and you could use this for a lot of other things too, not just to restrain people. You can also use this to build a shelter. You know, you can do a ton of things with this, you know. I always keep 2 of these next to my bed, all right? So if somebody breaks in, I have them in a place where I can grab them ready to go. So if, let's say, I encounter someone in my house, I can detain them, and that's 100% legal, okay? As long as you don't detain them unnecessarily, you know, it's fine if you detain somebody and then call the police and let them take them away. But if you hold that person for hours and then call the police, then that's no good. So just keep that in mind. That's false imprisonment. That's illegal. So, you know, and you know, so that's pretty much it, guys. All right, simple thing like this could be very useful. And just judging from my own experiences, I learned the importance of having these. All right, because I've had to deal with crazy people as a bouncer. You know, in nightclubs, all kinds of crazy people that are on all kinds of drugs. You know, violent people, gang members, and there were times where we really dealt with some crazy people. And I didn't have flex cuffs, all right? I had to basically physically, you know, restrain people, which made it much more difficult because it's very tiring, you know, if you're dealing with a person that's full of energy and they're trying to fight you all the time. You know, you eventually get tired, you know, you run out of steam, trying to constantly hold that person down, All right, so having these can be a huge lifesaver. Okay, so just take it from my experience, learn from my experience. Okay, all right, guys, that's pretty much it. So I'll talk to you soon. Take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 P's: prepare, practice, and persevere.